there! It's me, Mrs. Gloria Cristobal Castillo from Pasay City West High School. How I love to continue and discuss with you our lesson which is all about parallelograms. So, for the second lesson in Mathematics 9 Quarters 3, the objective of our lesson is determines the conditions that make a quadrilateral a parallelogram. Are you excited to learn about these conditions that make a quadrilateral a parallelogram? Well, I will not keep you waiting. Just relax and enjoy learning. Lesson 2 is about determining the conditions that make a quadrilateral a parallelogram. Do you have an idea what those conditions are? Let us discover what makes a quadrilateral a parallelogram. Quadrilateral OBEY is a parallelogram. Now let us name the pairs of opposite sides of parallelogram OBEY. Segment OB and segment YE is a pair of opposite sides, as well as segment OY and segment BE. And this is how we write it in symbols. So as you can see, there are two pairs of opposite sides of parallelogram OBEY. Now, let us name this time the pairs of opposite angles. Angle O and angle E are opposite angles. Same is true with angle B and angle Y. So, we write that as angle O and angle E, angle B and angle Y. So just like the first one, there are also two pairs of opposite angles in the figure. I want you to recall the way on how an angle is named. So, aside from using the capital letter at the vertex, we can also use three capital letters. For example, angle O can be named as angle BOY or angle YOB. And angle E here can be named as angle BEY or angle YEB. So what do you think should be taken into consideration in using three capital letters in naming an angle? Yes, I know that you actually know the answer because you have already learned this when you were in grade 7. And in using three capital letters, we just have to remember that the letter, the vertex, must always be at the middle. So you can interchange the first and the third letter. Alright, so angle B here can be named as angle OBE or that is angle EBO. And angle Y can be named as angle OYE or angle EYO. So this time, let us name the pairs of consecutive angles. So angle O and angle B is a pair of consecutive angle in the figure. Another pair would be angle B and angle E. Would you like to name the remaining pairs of consecutive angles in the figure? All right. Okay, I know that you can do it. So, let us write all the pairs of consecutive angles. And there are actually 4 pairs of consecutive angles of parallelogram OBEY. Now, what about the diagonals? How many diagonals are there in the figure? All right, so actually we have 2 diagonals and these are diagonal OE or that is segment OE and the other one is diagonal BY or that is segment BY. And there you have it, the 2 diagonals in the given figure. Now, would you like to name the pairs of segments formed by these intersecting diagonals? Okay, now, so the first pair, you can have segment OX and segment EX, and the other pair would be segment YX and segment BX. Let us try to discover this time what is true about the following? Based on the given figure, what is true about the following? Let us start with the pairs of opposite sides. If you will extend segment OB in both directions, will it intersect segment YE? What if both sides are extended? Will these sides of parallelogram intersect each other? Same with segment OY and segment BE. Will these opposite sides intersect if the sides are extended? Well, you see, no matter how far the opposite sides are extended, they will never intersect each other. How do we call a pair of segments or lines that never intersect how far they are extended? I know that you know the answer, and you are correct. It is called parallel lines. So in symbols, it is written now as segment OB is parallel to segment YE. Segment OY is parallel to segment BE. So in parallelogram OBEY, there are two pairs of parallel sides. Now, assuming that segment OB is 6 units, what do you think is the measure of segment YE? Alright, your guess is correct. It is also 6 units. So if segment OY is 10 units, how long is segment BE? Of course, it is also equal to 10 units. We can say then that the pairs of opposite sides of parallelogram OBEY are congruent. And as you can see, we have here two pairs of opposite sides that are congruent in parallelogram OBEY. What about the pairs of opposite angles? Alright, so as you can see, if angle O is 100 degrees, it follows that angle E is also 100 degrees. So, what about angle Y here? If angle O is 100, then angle Y must be, again, your guess is correct. It must be 80 degrees. It follows then that angle B is also 80 degrees. Now, if you're going to write that in symbols, you now have two pairs of opposite angles that are congruent in the figure. And so you write angle O is congruent to angle E, angle B is congruent to angle Y. So let us proceed to the pairs of consecutive angles. What is true about the pair of consecutive angles in a parallelogram? Now, if you have noticed, any pair of consecutive angles in the figure is supplementary, which means that the sum of the two angles is 180 degrees. Alright, so in that case, there are four pairs of consecutive angles in the figure, which has a measure or which has a sum of 180. Alright then, what about the pairs of segments formed by the intersecting diagonals? What can you say about the measure of segment OX compared to that of segment TX? What about the measure of segment YX compared to the measure of segment BX? Well, your guess is correct. Segment OX is congruent to segment EX. And segment YX is congruent to segment BX. And so we say that when these diagonals intersect each other, they actually bisect each other. Alright? Let us now concentrate in these two given figures. Segment OE and segment BY are diagonals. Now, what does each diagonal do to a parallelogram? Alright, it is very clear to you that when the diagonal is drawn, it actually divides the parallelogram into two triangles. What can you say about those triangles formed when the diagonal is drawn in a parallelogram? Well, those triangles are congruent. Now let us name those congruent triangles in each figure. The first one, triangle YOE is congruent to triangle BEO. And in the second figure, triangle OYB is congruent to triangle EBY. Please always remember how to name the congruent triangles formed in a parallelogram. Let us proceed to the last question. Do the findings apply to all kinds of parallelogram, and why? Yes, the answers to the given questions show the conditions that guarantee that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Now, I think that you're ready to the next activity. So these are the conditions that guarantee that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Complete the statements using the correct words or phrases. I will give you a few seconds to fill out these missing blanks or missing words in each statement. And time starts now. Alright, so let us look for this missing word in the first statement. What is the first missing word here? A quadrilateral is a parallelogram if both pairs of blank sides are blank. So the first word, opposite. And the last word is parallel. Second statement, what are we looking for? A quadrilateral is a parallelogram if both pairs of blank angles are blank. Well, that word is opposite. And the last word is congruent. So on the third statement, we are looking for the word consecutive and supplementary. So these are the words that we are looking for to complete the statement. In number 4, we are actually looking for the word diagonals. And in number 5, the first word that we are looking for is diagonal. And the last word, it is congruent triangles. And for the sixth statement, a quadrilateral is a parallelogram if one pair of opposite sides are both blank and blank. So what are these words that we are looking for to complete the statement? The first one, parallel, and the last word, congruent. Did you get a perfect score? Well, I know that you did. Okay, so and that's very good. So to summarize what we have learned, let us all read and remember these important things about parallelogram. So the first one, a quadrilateral is a parallelogram if both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. A quadrilateral is a parallelogram if both pairs of opposite angles are congruent. A quadrilateral is a parallelogram if both pairs of consecutive angles are supplementary. A quadrilateral is a parallelogram if the diagonals bisect each other. And a quadrilateral is a parallelogram if its diagonals divides a parallelogram into two congruent triangles. Now, if you have understood the lesson, you can now proceed with the exercises in your module. Answer the exercises and evaluation correctly. On the other hand, if you feel that there is a need for you to watch again the video to understand it better, you may do so. I think there's more that we have to remember regarding the conditions that guarantee that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, and that is a quadrilateral is a parallelogram if one pair of opposite sides are both parallel and congruent. All right? So again, this is Mrs. Magloria C. Castillo saying happy learning, good luck, and God bless you all, always.